Hello, this is RTK, and today we are doing a spell tier list for Total War Warhammer 3 multiplayer. My name is Sipa, and I am joined by Chimbambu.
Hello. Let's start by defining the tiers first. Right on top we have good spells, good passive, and good soup. These will be the best lords of the best, the ones that you basically can never go wrong with. Below that we have most spells are useful. These are lords which might have one or two spells that are not that good, but generally speaking the rest of them should be quite alright. Then we have half good, half bad. These are lords that have 2 or 3 spells that are useful, and the other ones you most likely shouldn't pick. Below that we have single spell lore. These are lores that are literally only usable because of one spell, and maybe they're lore passive, but not necessarily. And last but not least, we have Don't Bother. These are basically lores that can be skipped or are the ones that Sipa doesn't acknowledge the existence of.
Alright, let's get started with the lore of Nurgle. For me, it is a great lore. It has great, amazing spells, an amazing lore passive. The only spell you should never take is Blight Boil. So to me, this would be an easy, good spell, good passive, good soup.
I completely agree. Don't even have
Yeah,
anything else to add to this. Like, it's
perfect.
perfect Nurgolovsky soup. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I would say we have a lot of Hashut, which is basically in between single spell and Don't Bother. Probably single spell just because if you really want to go Drazzle, he only has Hashut in it, and the only spell you will take is Flames of Asgore, just because of the huge damage potential. And sadly, all of the other spells are rather subpar, especially Curse of Hashut, for example. It's such a bad spell compared to similar damage spells. So, yeah, it's a sad lore. Also a useless passive.
Fully agree on all of those points. I'm leaning more towards Don't Bother, but I'm happy to put it in single spell lore, since Drashoeth is technically usable in maybe one
Yep.
matchup. Moving on with Tzeentch, the spell master lore. To me, it has a bunch of good spells, maybe half of them. Blue Fire, Pink Fire, and Firestorm. You don't really see the other spells being used, and I don't think they are particularly useful either. So to me, it would be half good, half bad. Also, don't use the lore passive. It really doesn't do anything.
Yeah, the low pass is quite bad. I guess you can justify Treason of Tzeentch if you're playing against Khorne, because then your damage spells won't do much if you really have to take Tzeentch, but I agree, it can go in half good, half bad.
All right, yeah.
Next up, we have Lore of the Wild, the Lore of Traitorkin.
The
So I
absolute
guess
lore
this
of
is
RTK.
also going to, yeah, it's also going to the single spell lore, just because the rest of the spells kind of... There are some good spells, like Mantle of Gorok is a super strong buff. Devolve Vision is not a bad debuff. I know some people really like the Cygor summon, but after all, if you're not making use of Traitorkin, then the lore is kind of wasted. And also it has a nice passive go
Sure.
alongside it to refresh your vigor, so single spell it is.
Single spells it is. All right. Lore of Yang, I believe.
Yep,
Which is the lore of flame, fire, breath thingy that Mr. Zhao Ming comes with.
yep.
Coincidentally, also the only usable spell on the lore. Another contender for single spell lore. What do you think?
Yep, I agree. You can perhaps try using Jade Shield in a pinch, but other than that, no. You just take Zhao, you take Dragon's Breath, you overcast it, you
Yep,
farm value. That's
yep.
all.
Pretty much just that.
Next up, this is
Plague, Lore
Skaven
of
Spells
Plague.
of Plague. Yeah. I would say Plague is half good, half bad. It has a very good lore passive in Plague Rash, very good summon in Vermintide, and then Wither is also a great spell. It's like Plague of Rust at home, kind of. And
Yep.
the rest is from very bad to mid, so I think it belongs in half good, half bad, specifically for those three things.
I agree. The lore passive is super amazing, draining vigor and slowing down your enemy, on top of decent spells with Vermintide being super good and Wither being good.
Yep.
Totally half good, half bad. All right. Lore of Death, right?
Yep.
Yes, Lore of Death. Absolutely amazing lore. Has a ton of good spells. Not Soul Stealer, Spirit Leech, Buna, Purple Sun, and what's the leadership debuff called?
Doom and Darkness.
Doom and Darkness. Amazing spells, like absolutely amazing. There's no better AoE spell than Purple Sun. Spirit Leech is the OG of single target
and
damage, and the Doom and Darkness is the OG of leadership debuffs. So, plus the amazing lore passive, right? The only thing keeping it out of good spells, good passive, good soup is the Soul Blight and aspect of the Dread Knight, which I personally would never ever pick.
Yep, I would agree with that. Aspect is, I've used Aspect to like stop Terra routes. You know, it's like AoE, ITP. But other than that, no. Those two are very much not useful.
Super situational, yeah.
I agree with that placement. Next up, we have Lore of High Magic. For me, High Magic is in half good, half bad. It has Apotheosis, which is a great single target heal. And then it has two of the best, let's say it, anti-single entity spells in the game. But they're extremely situational. Meaning the Tempest is amazing but only against flyers, and then Arcane Unforging is amazing if you either want to block spellcasts or against Dread Maws, which are currently super popular. So I think, and also Soul Quench is useful if you take your Taren and you want to snipe infantry. But I think because of this, the lore is half good, half bad, because it absolutely has potential to carry you, especially against a single entity heavy army. But other than that, it can be quite how to even say this, like maybe even useless, because it just has a heal. So yeah, half good, half bad for me.
Yeah, but have you considered that any faction that can take lore of high magic could also take any other lore that is not lore of high magic and have access to good spells that are always good, not highly situational? I'm not arguing that Tempest is amazing at sniping flying single entities, or that Arcane Unforging is basically killing off enemy spellcaster lords for free. I'm just saying you could have a lore that is always useful instead. So for me, it's a don't bother, because unless you have to take it due to Altharion or Alariel or Mastermundi, I wouldn't bother with it.
Those are three strong contenders for the lore being useful, because of the fact that you also have the heal.
Since I also put Hashut into single spell lore, it is only fair that due to these three lords, I do put it higher up. I can't really argue with these specific spells being super good in super specific situations, which, no. Yeah, that's it. Moving on, it is lore of Tempest, I believe.
Yes, that's Tempest.
Yes, that's Tempest. Has Blizzard. That's the lore of Blizzard. It also has Hawks of Mystica. To me, that kind of just melts into one spell in my mind. So you do never take both. You only take Hawks against low armor faction and Blizzard against high armor faction. And therefore, from my point of view, this is a single spell lore.
That makes sense, honestly. It's sad because Lore of Tempest absolutely has the potential to be Lore of Metal for Kislev. Like, you have that amazing slowing passive. You have Hailstorm, but Hailstorm is just so slow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can agree that simply because you either take Hawks or you take Blizzard, never both. It probably belongs in the single spell lore. I mean, there are some niche uses for Gust of True Flight to cast it on Little Grom in order to win
I
artillery
know, to
duels.
get extra range on Little Grom, but it's so specific. And you're
It
basically
is. It is.
trolling by doing that. Just saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see it in single spell lore. I agree with you.
Alright.
Right. Next up we have Lore of Slaanesh. Lore of Slaanesh. I'm debating between putting it at the very top or in good spells, good passive, good soup, or in most spells are useful because outside of slicing shards, all of the other Slaanesh spells are quite useful and good.
Yep.
Acquiescence is amazing, especially to proc the lore passive. The lore passive is amazing. You still have Pavane, which has been nerfed so many times already, but after all, it's a rampage and a damage. A
Still
Phantasmagoria
good,
recently
yeah.
got buffed.
True.
And Hysterical Frenzy is a great buff spell, even though I feel like Slaanesh units don't always need it because they're already so strong. I personally hate Lash, but a lot of people use it, so
I
I
use
think
it.
I
I
think
like
it
it.
has potential to go into the very top, into the good
I
soup.
agree. You can't you can't really go wrong with any of the spells except for slicing shards.
Yep,
All of
yep,
them will
exactly.
almost always be useful in some way. Even
Mm-hmm.
if you don't respect the damage of Lash, it does unbrace braced troops, which
Yeah, it
opens them up
does.
for charges from your myriad of insane charging units. So yeah, for me, a good spell, good passive, good soup, all around, good lore.
Yep,
Moving on to Ice. Is it called Ice?
yep,
Yeah. Lore of
yep. It's
Ice.
otherwise.
Interesting lore. Like Tempest, it is only in Kislev, and it has a couple of decent spells. It is quite interesting to me that both Lore of Tempest and Lore of Ice have super different use cases, with Lore of Tempest being AoE clear and Lore of Ice rather focused on single targets. Death Thrust, great spell, and Ice Maiden's Kiss can help you clear out chaff, but it to me is mainly the lore of Death Thrust. I only take it with Katarina. I wouldn't take it with a regular caster since the regular caster can take Tempest instead. Single spell lore for me, Death Thrust or Ice Maiden's Kiss. You wouldn't take both either.
I think actually the exact opposite. I feel like when you take Lord of Ice, you always take both. You take Ice Maiden's Kiss and Death Frost. So for me, it's more towards half good, half bad. But I can also see your point that without Death Frost, you just end up with a lord that has a breath attack and then not much else.
Yeah,
So
we'll
I
get a couple more of those lores. We already have one here with Lore of Yang. I have another
yeah.
one, and there's more coming up. Spoiler alert. Um,
Yeah, I can see that. It's basically because of Katarine that it's
that it's even taken. I'm just gonna say if you only spam Death Thrust, you're gonna get rid of all your Winds of Magic quite fast, and you don't have anything left for Ice Maiden's Kiss. If you take both, you will not be able to snipe any single entity with Death Thrust. Um, Again, unless you spend most your mana, your Winds of Magic on that one.
yeah. Alright, then we can leave it in single spell lore. But again, it has the potential for half good, half bad. It's also Crystal Sanctuary is a little bit underexplored in my opinion, ever since it got buffed. Because it's a very powerful, like, defensive spell. I've used it to win artillery duels, for example, or shootouts. So
Yeah, okay,
it
I
can be
never
in both, but
never considered that. No. Let's continue with
okay,
metal.
go. Yes.
Um, good spell, good spells. It has like three good spells: Searing Doom,
Mm-hmm.
Plague of Rust, and Final Transmutation. Lore passive, in my opinion, is unusable, bad. So actually, half good, half bad. Quite
I
literally
would
down the middle.
Yeah, it literally, like, I know that the Russians really like playing with golden hounds whenever they take Lord of Metal. I've seen them use that vortex so much, but for me that vortex is so small. I feel like it doesn't do what vortexes are supposed to do. And then it literally has 3 of the most amazing spells in the game,
Yeah,
and then 3 that
never
can be literally
used.
useless.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
it is the premium example
It's the
for
definition of
how
half
good
good,
how
half bad, right?
Yep,
Let's put it right
absolutely
up in the
is.
front there.
Yep, I agree with that. Next up we have Lore of the Great Maw. We can immediately put that in single spell lore because it is again the
It's just
definition.
troll guts. It's
Yeah, it's
just troll
literally just
guts.
Trollguts. There is nothing else on that lore. A lot of people love thinking that the passive heals your whole army, but it doesn't. It heals just your lord.
Your
You
caster.
have
Yeah.
it- yeah, just your caster. You have a Doom and Darkness, which isn't AoE. You have Bull Gorger, which doesn't actually work on bulls, even though it's in the name, because it doesn't buff base damage.
Only AP,
2
yeah.
very bad damage spells, and then you have Toothcracker, which why would you pick the lore for Toothcracker to give missile resist on your stuff?
Indeed,
So yeah,
indeed.
just Roguts. So single
Just
spell
troll
it
guts.
is.
Absolutely. Lord of Big Waaagh. Let me quickly remember what's on there. Gaze is decent. Here we go. Is good. Fist of Gorg is good. You need the buff spells on Greenskin since they have very
Yep.
low base stats. I personally don't mind Brain Burster either. I think even though it's 0 AP, it is a decent AoE and it disrupts formation quite well. Don't take Foot of Cork, don't take Edbud, but other than that, I'm happy to put it in half good, half bad. The lore passive synergizes with low winds of magic spells by giving you lots and lots of regen. Um, Half good, half bad. What do you
I
think?
I think it can go in most spells are useful because for death we agree that because aspect and soul blight are kind of bad and the rest are good. And same here, like foot and headbutt are bad, but the rest is all usable in my opinion. So I
Fair.
think it can go in our, so to
Yeah,
say, A tier.
that's fine. Yeah.
Right. Next up we have Lore of Dark Magic, lore of our main factions, right?
Lore of Dark Elves, Lore of Wood Elves, Lore of Doombolt. Yeah,
Yeah, before Doombolt, this would have been a single spell lore for sure. But after the
absolutely.
Doombolt buffs, it is half good, half bad in my opinion. Especially
Tech.
also because Blade Wind is
Yeah,
is another is another usable ability in certain situations, and you also have Power of Darkness if you want an extra Soul Stealer or something like that. You still have Chill Wind, Word of Pain, which are useless. The lore passive is super niche. The Elven one is even, I mean, the Wood Elven one is even worse.
true. It
So,
is. Compared to the other most spells are useful lores, I would rather put it in half good, half bad,
yep,
because the power level of a single spell on the lore of Dark is worse than the power level of the spells on the lore of Death and Big Waaagh. All there's 4 takeable spells, 4 useful spells, but not amazing ones.
yep, I agree.
Since Doombolt got nerfed. There we go. Used to
Mm-hmm.
be a bit better. All right, Lore of Shadows. Another beautiful single spell lore. It's
Yeah,
Malkoth. Malkoth's being one of the best spells in the game right now. Like top 3 spells, top 2 spells, depending on your point of
definitely.
view. It has decent other spells. They're just never worth it because you can have Malkoths instead. So single spell lore just because Malkoths is overpowered.
I agree. I agree. Maybe one day it gets nerfed and then the other spells get buffed a little bit. It can probably see some play, but until then, it's Lore of Melkos.
It is lore of Malkoths.
Right, next up we have Ruin. Mm, I think Ruin is a very, very good lore. It has an amazing passive, right? It's basically the opposite of the Slaanesh passive.
Yeah,
It has a net for flyers, Warp Lightning, which can be used on basically anything. Dead Frenzy is almost the same spell as Hysterical Frenzy. Scorch is a great breath spell for clearing out archers. Flensing Ruin is one of the best single target damage AoE spells. And we basically only have Crack Skull, which even Crack Skull, to be honest, can be very fun to use because it's like a slightly weaker Wind of Death.
Yeah,
And it's very fun to delete something off the map completely.
You can
So
overcast and hit multiple units with it too. It doesn't curve as much or at all compared
yep.
to Wind of Death. Yeah, I agree.
So
It's a good
yep,
lore.
this is Skaven's good soup, in my
This
opinion.
is Skaven's good too. I mean, Skaven are eating good here because we're continuing with the lore of what's it called? Stealth. Jesus.
Yep.
Lore of Stealth. Very underused lore. Just recently
Yeah, for sure.
got pulled out of its grave again. It comes with a bunch of decent spells that nobody uses. Warp stars are amazing, both for single target as well as multi-entity clear. Armor of Darkness, decent buff spell. Defensive buffs on Skaven, not necessarily the best, but for what it is and what it costs, it's pretty good. Brittle Bone synergizes well with your skirmishers. And
Yep.
Skitterleap, well, let's not talk about Skitterleap, but instead talk about Veil of Shadows, the new hot and upcoming spell. It is basically a stun for any multi-entity unit. If you hit them with it, they are not going to move. It is very cheap, and if you overcast it, you also silence whatever units get caught inside. To me, the lore has two spells that you basically always take. You always take them together. You always take them with the lore passive. Definitely not a single spell lore. I would say half good, half bad.
I can even see it being in most spells are useful, to be honest, because the outside of Black Whirlwind, I feel like every other spell has some sort of application, and again, it's a very very underused lore. So
True.
I think even with like some slight buffs here and there, like minimal things like some higher durations on Skitterleap or some lower cost on Brittlebone, it can immediately become a super good lore. So I think it has a lot of potential and probably is good in most spells are useful.
All right, and also it lines up the Skaven spells beautifully.
Oh, it does, yeah, nice.
All right.
Um, a lot of yen. Let's put our first F tier lore.
Yeah, let's
I
don't
would put it
bother.
in
Don't
Dawn
bother
Dweller.
with this. Don't take it. There's nothing here. Just move on.
There's a slow. There's a slow and a summon in this lore.
Yeah,
These are the best spells,
yeah. They are spells.
sadly.
They exist on the lore. Yes.
Yeah.
Big Wa's little cousin, Little Wa. Bad Lore passive has a bunch of very suspicious spells, but it has three cheap and cheerful spells that you can use in every single situation. It comes with a slow, it comes with a melee buff that buffs both damage as well as melee attack, and it comes with a spammable missile spell. To me, half good, half bad. I would never take Curse, Night Shroud, or actually, I've taken Itchy Nuisance before, but I would never
Yeah,
take
Itchy
Curse
Nuisance
or
is
Night Shroud.
Itchy
So,
Nuisance is usable, but I feel like Curse is also usable. I know that you don't like Curse at all, but one thing that I recently discovered is that Curse is actually targetable.
oh
And
right, you
I
can
feel
drag
like this
creatures,
gives it a
can
lot
you?
of potential.
I didn't
You
know
can
that.
drag it because it has like a 90-degree max change angle, so it kind of goes in like how do you even
In a
say it? Like a
direction.
triangular, yeah, in like a
Yeah.
triangular direction, so to say. So you can kind of use it as a breath, and it also can really flip frontline engagements where your opponent doesn't expect it because it's a very strong debuff actually. It has like minus 24 melee defense and then speed and something else on top of it. I forgot what it was.
Um,
So I
Accuracy, I
think it's a very
think
good lore.
maybe. Yeah, I can see it in most spells. Most spells are
Mhm.
useful. All right.
Yeah. I'm also a sucker for just glare. I cannot speak. Glare spamming.
Yeah. Vindictive Glare, just like Gaze of Morg, just like what else do we have so far? Warp Stars,
Warp
just like
Stars.
Warp
Yep.
Stars. Yep.
Oh, and
You're
now
up, I think.
for another magic missile, we have Lore of Light. I would put Lore of Light in half good, half bad, because it has Shem's Burning Gaze, which is a great magic missile spell. It has Net, which is, I think this is the only lore which just has a general use Net, if
Yep.
I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah, because Howling Warp Gale is only for flyers. And then technically, I mean, the lore passive is extremely useful if you're fighting against demonic units, because your whole army gets immune to psychology, first of all, which is great because they all cause fear and or terror. And you also get magical attacks. So it's a 20% damage increase. And off of the back of those, I think that's enough to put it in half good, half bad. Because the rest of the spells are absolutely nothing to write home about. Some of them are quite useless, like Light of
Light of
Battle.
Battle, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, so to me, once again, like other lores, I would put it in Don't Bother. I'm not an enjoyer of a net. I don't think Shem's Burning Gaze is particularly good, considering that you can take better lores in the same factions. Like Tomb Kings, they get lore of Nehekara. We haven't covered it yet, but it is an amazing lore. High Elves, they get all the lores. They can take fire. Let's just go with fire. Fire's great. To me, I never take this lore. I don't think it is worth anything.
Mm.
To me, it's an don't bother lore. At best, I can see it as the lore of net, but I wouldn't rate it any higher. Not like you take net and Shem's Gaze, do you?
You do actually. You take that as Tomb Kings. I actually run that into Slaanesh because you spam Shems on Nakari and then you net Nakari and then you delete him. But you can treat it as the lore of net. If you want, we can meet in the middle. Half good, half bad for me. Don't bother from you. Let's meet in the
Perfect.
middle. Lore of net.
Just to come back to Nakari, yeah, I wish Slanesh still took Nakari. I wish
Yeah,
the mask
yeah.
didn't exist, but sadly,
Same,
that's also one
same.
of the killing arguments for this lore to me. That all these new units that recently got added are tiny. So Shems is
I
very
agree.
ineffective, and netting
Yeah.
netting Dreadma does nothing. Netting Chimera might be useful, but it still wiggles around a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
netting the mask, yeah, that
Doesn't
just
achieve
doesn't do
anything.
anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, single spell lore, it has a net. Maybe once the meta changes, this becomes better. I get
Okay.
you with the lore passive spam. I
Yeah.
agree. It's just currently you have better options.
I agree as
Um,
well.
Lore of Deeps.
Lord of
Beautiful
Deeps.
lore. Has the best spell in the game. Van Geist's Revenge. I think it's the highest damage in the game in a
It is, yeah.
ranked spell. Yeah. And it can delete basically any infantry unit from the face of the earth. I do not mean rout them. I do not mean shatter them. It deletes them. Unit models all dead. But that is not a good spell. It
Nope.
takes 25 years to cast. Yeah. Other than that, it comes with Tide Call. Tide Call's great. It's just a very basic breath spell, but on top of it, you get a good lore passive. Damages the whole enemy army. To me, just like Yang, it's a breath spell lore, a single spell lore.
Yep. I agree. It has a good debuff, like Fog of the Damned isn't that bad. But if Tightco wasn't in the lore, you wouldn't take the lore. So
Absolutely, yeah.
also the crab summon.
No,
No, Crab
no,
Nation represent, but
no,
I would
no.
rather have the Oceanid summon. Right then, Lord of Beasts. God, where do we put Lord of Beasts? Because this used to be the lore of Flock of Doom, right? But then Flock of Doom got nerfed.
Yeah,
And now you don't see people spamming Flock of Doom so much. But it's still good. And then you also have the Manticore summon. which is great if you're playing into a low leadership faction because you get 2 terror-causing monsters. And
Yes,
then
absolutely. I actually wanted to add, before it was lore of Flock of Doom, it was lore of Manticore Summon. And that was
yeah,
good. It was taken a lot. I would put it into half good, half bad, because technically the other spells are usable. They might not be good, but they're usable. On the other hand, you never take 2 spells. It's either Flock or Summon or Curse or Amber Spear.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think I've seen people take more than 1 spell. While the lore has multiple good spells, fuck it, half good, half bad. It has multiple usable spells. It is just
All
not the
right.
best anymore.
Yeah, its glory days are a little
Or
bit in the
over, yeah.
past.
Now it's all Malkoths.
Yeah, it's all Melkos. Do you want me to cover Lore of Mist?
Yes, please.
So then you don't forget about what the spells do.
I never used it, so please do.
Cool. Lore of Mist is a half good, half bad lore, in my opinion. It has Walk Between Worlds, which is Flesh to Stone but better. It has the Oceanid summon, which Oceanids are an amazing unit. So summoning 2 of them is quite good. And because you can treat them as a crap summon, right? Because they're also defensive, they also grind. But the big difference here is that the Lore of Mistcaster can fly. So you can summon these on archers, you can summon them on an artillery. It has just a lot more utility. And then you also get a heal if you overcast Ladriel's Shroud. The rest of the spells are quite meh. The lore passive is one of the worst ones in the game, actually. Like the
Nice.
10% missile resistance. I don't know what CA was smoking when they designed it. It used to have a range. Before release, it had a 55-meter
Jesus
range.
Christ.
Yes, it was hilariously bad. But those 3 spells, I think, are enough to put it in half good, half bad.
I want to add that Flensing Har has a Marauder Bearman on his image. I do not know why. I don't know what Flensing Har does. I just see that there is a Marauder Bearman on the image. And that's a very
uh,
important information for anyone listening.
it is, yeah. There is
Moving.
also a sword master. There's a sword
Really?
master on Ladriel's
Oh yeah,
shroud.
yeah,
Yes.
true. I see that one, but that's
Mm-hmm.
less cool. Moving on. Nehekara lore of Usurian's Incantation of Vengeance.
Basically,
It's
yeah.
basically Malkoth's, but slightly more Winds of Magic efficient. But unlike Malkoth's, the lore has other spells on it, just in case you run into a faction where Malkoth's wouldn't be good, like ogres, for example. It also comes with 2 good buff spells. One of them gives you anti-large when overcast, Jaff's Incantation of Cursed Blades. The other one gives you physical resistance, pretty good when fighting ogres. To me, it's a half good, half bad. Half good, half bad lore. Usurian's absolutely amazing, top tier.
Yep.
2 decent buff spells, a really good lore passive that heals your whole army. And then you have 3 spells that we don't even have to talk about because they are just that bad.
Yep, basically. It's such a good lore, and then it's literally just half a lore.
It is just half the lore, yeah.
Right then, moving on to the last undead lore, vampires. For me, vampires goes in good soup. Vampires, I think, is a great lore, and much like the other lores in the same category, has only one really bad spell, which is Perseveres, which is a silence, which ironically in the Dreadmaw meta would be good, but there are no targets for the Dreadmaw on vampire
On
counts.
vampires, yeah.
Or,
You
I mean,
you forget
you
Vampire Coast gets it too,
do, you can
and
actually, it's probably usable on vampire coast then, and that makes it
and
even better.
Vampire Coast also gets the better summons. You don't get zombies, you get zombie handguns, which are amazing, like absolutely amazing. I
I
agree. Good soup.
agree. hmm
Great lore.
It also like it recently got its passive buffed, so now you always take the passive because it finally doesn't heal like half a percentage. It heals 1.4. 1.5
wow.
even,
Nice.
I think. Yeah, so everything else is perfect. You have a heal, you have a great missile spell,
You have
the
the
summon as
best
you
missile
mentioned.
spell, actually. The
Yeah, Gaze
best
of
missile
Nagash is
spell,
cracked.
the best summon spell, and the best heal in the game.
Yep.
Cool, cool. Me again, Lord of Hags, don't bother. I don't know what it does, nobody takes it, it basically doesn't exist. Don't bother.
I would just add, like, probably the biggest issue Lore of Hag has is the casters more than the lore itself. Ostanki and the Hags are so overpriced and so bad right now that they just make the lore not worth even experimenting with, just because you know that your caster will be dead weight for the
Very
majority of the game.
expensive dead weight, yeah.
Because it doesn't have such bad spells. It has Curse of the Ancient Witch, for example. It reduces armor by 60 and it also removes 48%, I think, missile block chance. It's like a better, how do you call that spell?
Better Plague of
Um,
Rust.
Better Plague of Rust, exactly. That
It
can also
also
spread, I think.
spread, yeah. It spreads too. It is great. It combines super well with your cavalry. But alas, it doesn't come free.
Yeah,
And the other lures, they come for free. The casters cost nothing. You can put them on a big fucking
Frostworm.
frostworm. And yeah, I'm sorry, Lore of Hags needs serious help. Also, I
Yep.
have no idea what the lore passive does. Do you
It
know?
gives spell resistance to you and minus
Oh,
leadership to your enemy, which is great on paper, but the spell resistance is like way too little for
it's
it to
yeah.
matter.
Never
Otherwise,
mind.
if it was more, you would turn yourself into dwarfs and it would be cool, but it's not enough.
And it's also not global, is it?
It is.
Oh, it
I'm pretty
is.
sure it
Okay.
is.
Never
Mm-hmm.
mind then. Cool. Please skip Lore of Life.
Uh, Lord of Life. I mean, I think it goes into good soup again. Like all of the healing laws go into good soup. I feel like because you have a passive which heals you, you have Earthblood which heals you, Regrowth which heals you. Awakening is not bad either because it has a huge slow even if it doesn't deal much damage. And then you have Shield of Thorns and Flesh to Stone, both of which are great at flipping cavalry fights.
I
So.
agree in the most part, except that
Mhm.
you don't take these spells, right? You take Earthblood, you take Regrowth. You don't take both. You take one of each, either or.
Yes, yes.
And if you take Earthblood, you might take a second spell with it. While most spells are useful, they're not as good as the S tier, as the Nurgle and Slaanesh and Ruin and Vampires. In my opinion, power level wise, the Lore of Life has been nerfed enough that it isn't the top tier lore anymore.
Hmm.
You quite often just see it not taken, even on the factions that always used to take it. So just because of that, I would put it into most spells are useful. Well, because most spells are useful, they're just not as good anymore.
I can see that, yeah, I can see that. Remember when we had the Dwellers meta? We had
I
that at
do
some point.
remember it was lovely.
Yeah,
Suddenly nobody took regrowth anymore and it was just Dwellers. Great. And then they
yeah.
nerfed it to the ground, and now it deals no
Now it's
damage
useless.
anymore.
Yep.
Sad. Lord of Heavens. Yeah, yeah, don't bother. Just don't bother. Every faction that has access to Lore of Heavens has better lores. It doesn't have anything unique about it. It has a bad breath spell, and that's the best spell on the lore. It has a bad AoE. Does it have one or two bad AoE damage spells? It has the Comet, it has the Chain Lightning. I think both of these are overrated. I know both got buffed, reworked, whatever, but in my opinion, I wouldn't bother with this lore.
Mm, I would have to disagree with you because after the buffs, first of all, like the lore itself is niche because of the lore passive, right? That's because the lore
Right,
passive is super
debuffs
super good.
flyers.
Yeah, it's super good, but it only debuffs flyers. If you're expecting someone to bring lots of flyers, then I think Lord of Heavens is justifiable completely. That being said, though, they did buff Wind Blast enough to put it, I think, is one of the better burst spells. Like, its damage is basically on the same level as most other. It deals 30, I think, when you overcast it, which is perfect. And then they also put a 60% slow on it.
Yeah,
with the
but that
with
also
the last
affects
patch.
your own units.
Yes, that's the unfortunate part, that you cannot use it for cavalry fights unless they changed it, but I don't think they did.
No, last time I used it, it still affected my caster, which was trying to get away from cavalry. Definitely,
Oof.
that's definitely not the reason it goes into Don't Bother. No,
Yeah.
no, it's not. It's
Okay.
because I
Yeah.
think the factions that have access to it have access to better things.
That
There
is true.
is
That is true.
only one legendary lord that gets it, I think. The new guy, Sale.
Yeah.
And don't bother taking Sale either. He is not a good lord. But Chimba, please disagree with me if you want it higher up. Then don't bother. I just don't like the lore.
No, I mean, I've tried using it and I can see potential in it, but I've also felt that, why am I taking it? You know,
Right?
outside of I don't know, ogres into Tzeentch, like these niche matchups where you know that you can expect 2 Furies, 2 Doom Knights, an Exalted Lord of Change, maybe a normal Lord of Change, Disc Heroes, the half the army
Yeah,
flying,
yeah.
then you just make use of the lore passive. But these are like such niche situations that I can I can actually agree with putting it in Don't Bother. And again,
Also, High
yeah,
Elves and Lizardmen get lore of High Magic, which has the second best anti-air spell after Skaven. I think Skaven
yeah,
Howling Warp Gale is the best anti-air spell. It
mhm,
is a insanely long duration net, and same for Tempest, which also deals significant damage.
yep,
Yeah, uh,
exactly.
yeah.
We leave it and Don't Bother then. Cool. Lore of Fire. Oh, Lore of Burning Head. Right?
Absolutely beautiful
Absolutely.
example for
Yep. There is potential in some of the other spells. You can spam Fireball with Tomb King Lords and kill them because they have fire weakness. Most of them except
yeah.
Captive. Right? You can use Flaming Sword of Ruin as one of the best things you can put on your cavalry if you're charging Skin Wolves, because they have Fizz resist and they also have fire weakness.
Yeah, but
But all of these are super niche examples of using the spells. And then Flamestorm, I know that some people really actually like Flamestorm because it lasts a while. So if you get lucky with the rotations, you can absolutely delete the unit. But at the end of the day, you take it because of Burning Head and maybe Kindle Flame. Depends on your faction. And then you
uh,
just
yeah, it also
you
depends
just
on
do
the
that.
enemy faction.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
Burning Head with
Exactly.
Kindle Flame is 20% better, which in some cases you just need to delete an infantry unit rather than just
Yep.
damaging them.
Exactly.
Cool.
Or in others, you just have to route them.
Yeah, indeed. Cool.
Cool. I think there's one left.
No,
There
I think
is.
we're
You can see that
done with
there's
this
no.
actually. Um,
No, there is one left.
I
Like there is a thing in the spell browser. There
I
is there's
don't
this thing called.
no, that doesn't exist. I don't see it.
You can, I will make your day. You can put it in Don't Bother, because even
Um,
dwarf mains say that runic magic is useless. You know what a dwarf is? I don't
I do
think you know what they
not.
are.
I do not
Oh,
acknowledge their existence. So yeah.
yeah, that's why you don't bother. You don't bother with it, so you can just put it in Don't Bother.
I would say thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for listening to us talk. There was a lot less disagreement than we initially thought. And
Absolutely.
please subscribe to the RTK YouTube channel. We're happy to have you.
Yep. Take care, everyone. Hope you
Bye.
enjoyed.